Yeah, I think that was the last thing he said. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to. Next Tuesday, market call. I wasn't. Thank you for the listen. Please, can you send it? You Google? Yes. Then I may have to. Sorry.
Incoming mail.
Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to today's market color session. My name is Sabiabi and I'll be taking the first half of today's analysis, which will be covering commodity currencies, after which we're going to go into the second half of today's analysis, which will be focused on indices. I see us online. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is so good to have each and every one of us here. Okay, so we're going to be starting off with a quick look at AUD USD to see what price is currently doing and what we expect it to do. So you will see that we have some levels that are marked out from last week, still on the charts. That price there to trade from. This is a higher time frame level that price is not fully tap into. But when we drew, the lower time frames on M5, we saw certain entries. But because we're starting to do on a clean slate, I'm just going to take all of this analysis off for the sake of those of us who were not here last week. And also bearing in mind that this is indicator based and some people might find it a bit choked up. So that nobody is confused. On the H4 time frame of AUD USD, what do I see? AUD USD is heavily to the upside, and it is still buying. No sunshine that has been printed, which ideally is the perfect thing we want to see on the charts. We want to be so early to the market that this sunshine has not been printed yet, because remember, sunshine signifies profit taking, yes? So this has not been printed, it's still buying. Where is the next likely area where I think it's going to keep buying into that may now hit resistance? It is somewhere around here. To get the specific price point, that is somewhere around 0.67648. That could be the next resistance level for AUD USD. Yeah. So going down to H1 time frame now. On H1 time frame, what am I doing? I'm just going to be marking out certain level points where I expect retracement to happen before the buy move is now fully fulfilled. Because price does not just move, it will keep printing straight candles like this to the next resistance point. It's going to press the bits, it's going to trade lower a bit before it continues. So because of that, having that in mind, this now becomes point of interest 1, point of interest 2, and point of interest 3, basically marking out my indicators that serve as, pullbacks. For example, this, the momentum, and also the trend. Price could eventually come back to retest these zones, hence why I am interested in them. Yeah. So 0.67007, 0.66944, 0.66497. If you do not have these indicators on the chart, you're not a student of the FX Bootcamp training that we host here at the VFT Academy. Take note of the price point I'm calling out. That's why I'm calling them out, so you can hear them and look out for those zones on your own chart as well. So AUD USD M5 time frame, these are the levels I've marked out from the higher time frame, or H1, H4 here. So I'm not going to mark out yesterday's high and yesterday's low, day before yesterday's high and day before yesterday's low, because these are now supports and resistance levels that would act as key point areas in future. Going to adjust this. So these are now the 4 areas I'm marking out on M5. So when price eventually comes back here, gives me confirmation I'm going to be buying from those zones. So you can see that we have multiple areas of interest, right? POI1, POI2, POI3, and 4 on the M5 time frame, and then the horizontal lines are from the 1 hour time frame. So when I see retracement, I'm interested in taking buy positions, provided it retraces, but not just retrace, gives me a confirmation from either of these zones, I'll be buying AUD USD. Are we together? If you understand the analysis, please let me know by leaving an emoji in the chat box. Next, we'll be looking at USD card on the H4 time frame. So what am I seeing on the H4 time frame? What is this guy doing? Now, price broke through the structure point, giving us the sign that USD CAD has been breaking relevant structures to the upside. However, looking at the major structure from somewhere around November to December period, the major structure is to the downside, heavily to the downside. Minor structure being this is down to the upside. Minor structure because price can still keep buying till it comes to take out this particular level. If I use a Fibonacci tool from this zone to this zone, you see that price is around the 61.8% Fibonacci level. And if you know anything about Fibonacci and the rules attached to it, as long as this high has not been fully violated, can still be said to be valid, yeah? So price could just continue to sell from here. However, price can keep on buying and come to violate through this zone, give us more buy structures. So from what I'm seeing on USD CAD now, taking out previous areas that we marked out from last analysis sessions, Sunshine printed. When sunshine is printed, I expect a temporal trade in the opposite direction of where it was printed. So in this one, I'm expecting a temporal buy. Yeah. However, on the H4 time frame, it's safe to say that USD CAD is currently choppy. This is a range. It is not as clear. They are all jumbled up together. Not what I would ideally prefer. So let's go to H1 and see if we see a clearer data. Remember, if it is not obvious, it is dubious. Now, on the USD CAD H1, this level is where I would ideally mark as a possible level where price would sell to. It has done that. Sunshine has been printed. We're expecting a temporal buy. So because of that now, price is trading from a key area on H1, trading from a sunshine level on H4, and it will most likely buy temporarily into 1.38888. That will now be how many pips? About 40 pips temporary buy of USD CAD before we now see a sell continuation. But if price comes into this zone and violates this level, then we know that there are more buy opportunities for USD CAD to come and target this zone. If not, price will find resistance here, give us confirmation on M5, and then we'll see the sell move continue. This is why it's so important to understand your confirmation patterns so that you don't jump into the market, except you're somebody who, likes to set pending limit, and you've watched the market several times based on your strategy. Of course, mine requires confirmation when I'm using this or better strategy here. So marking out yesterday's low, and I'm going to go ahead and mark out yesterday's into today's price movement. Day before yesterday's low, the weather is taking a toll on my voice. Perfect. So these are now levels I'm watching out for, saying that this is a key area you're trading from. You're going to retest into what level? Although, can you see that price already bounced off that zone? Price bounced off and traded into our momentum and it sold. So are we going to see the sell continuation? It is likely for us to see the sell just continues without coming back to give another retracement, because it retraced somewhere around here into the zone. But if price does retrace, so looking at price coming back, I'll prefer to start selling USD CAD from 1.38888 because it has two confluences. But if this zone gets taken out, then the other POIs are marked out for me to now start looking for sell moves as long as it gives me confirmation. So overall bias on USD CAD is a temporal buy to sell. We looked at AUD USD, looked at USD CAD. Finally, let's take a look at NZD USD before we move into indices. If you have any questions, please do well to leave them in the chat box as I talk about NZD USD. Yeah, just going to go ahead and leave that for now. So NZD USD is normal, so we have the bigger picture. What am I saying? This also looks to be choppy. This is choppy. No clear separation. However, even in the midst of all the choppiness, sunshine has been printed, so I'm expecting a sell of NZD USD. A sell into what area? There's going to be a sell on NZD USD. This is now my POI 1 and POI 2. POI 1 has two conferences. I'm just going to leave that. So we now have two POIs, 0.57689, 0.57600. I'm going to be very interested in taking this temporal sell of NZUSD. I'm very interested from where price currently is to where it is likely to retrace into. This is a lot of pips movement. It's a lot. So back to H4 time frame now. This is going to be a retracement trade for me. Once I see my confirmation, I'll be taking that trade because there's a lot of gap for NZUSD to trade lower. Looking at M5 now, just to repeat the same thing we do every single time. So yesterday's high, day before yesterday's high, yesterday's low, day before yesterday's low have all been marked out. If I'm going to be taking this sell, provided my confirmation is given on the M1 time frame, my confirmation is usually a break and a retest of these Keltner channels on M1. So once I see that confirmation, I'll take a quick sell of NZUSD. This would be a level where I take partials out, but I believe NZUSD is going to sell into 0.57600 or at very barest minimum 0.57689. So these are basically my perspectives on these commodity currencies that we just looked at. But you also want to, of course, pay attention to Forex Factory to see the news releases that we have coming out today so that you're not caught off guard. So we'll take a quick look. What news release do we have coming out today? So today is the 20th of January. We're looking at commodity currencies. So our interest for these asset classes would be dollar-related news releases or the commodity currency pairs themselves. So we're looking at the AUD/USD, NZUSD, CAD, or USD itself. So for today, we don't really have any news release that would impact these asset classes we just looked at. The high impact news release we do have coming out is on pound. So if you're trading asset classes like pound USD, you want to pay attention to these news releases. And then for tomorrow, we have CPI on pound as well. And President Trump speaks should have an impact on USD. I'm so sorry. But yes, thank you so much for joining. Let me just pretty much call it a wrap here. You can go on Forex Live always to watch the breakdowns or read through the breakdowns of these high impact news releases and see how they'll be impacting the asset class you'll be trading per time. With that being said, we'll be going on a very short break to reconvene in less than 1 minute to look at indices and see what that market has in store for us as well. All right, so cheers. Thank you for joining. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you shortly. God bless.
Hello, everyone, and good morning. How are we doing this morning? Hope we're good. Hope you're fine. How is that trading day going already? Sean Ashafa, how are you doing? Hope you're good. So quickly, let's look into the market. We have something very, very unique playing out in the market already. As you know, President Trump and the entire European Union countries, right? European countries, they are at like a war. Should I say a tussle for global power, right? And that is also making the markets to what? React, right? We saw last during the week, President Trump gave it like a tariff to those countries, sanctioning most of them, 15% tariff and the rest like that. And it's also increasing, right? Implemented already. All right, so let me share my chart so we can just look at a few things and then call it day. All right, US 100, US 30, let's have US 30. Can see the market. The market is what? The market is selling. Market is bearish temporarily. Structure has changed to a bearish market. And look at the last point of interest we had was this zone, right? Before we had this change of structure, right? So I expect that once price comes back into, look at this, we are going to take off our buys from this zone, right? Because in fact, this zone has not been tested before. So and put on the 8-hour time frame. Let's see. Okay, look at these zones. They've not been tested before. So it makes sense that price comes back into this level and then what? You see a level of reaction. Price come into this level and then what happened next? Continue in the original direction of the market, which is like a buy, right? So it's a good time to start accumulating our funds, because when price comes here, it now makes sense for us to buy to the upside. We have a clean break of structure from this zone. So this zone, we expect multiple things to happen inside the zone, right? Wait on the 2-hour time frame if there's anything unique. We'd see, or nothing really unique. But then on the 3-hour time frame, this looks as like an order block. Another block that has not been tested before. So it makes sense for us to see that push, that rally from this zone, right? And then this zone, where are we heading to? We are heading to, this would be like our first take profit, but then it's like 1:3. But I'm sure market is going to print what? A new high, a new all-time high. So it makes sense for us to buy from this zone. Excuse me. The second is US 100, right? Also on US 100, the market is bearish. It's bearish. It's bearish. So we are the areas of interest that have not been mitigated before. This one look as though it has been mitigated. Not even looks, it has been mitigated. So it doesn't make sense for us to buy from there. This area, these two areas, they have not been mitigated. So price can either start buying off from this zone or from lower zone, but then rolling everything together makes it look as though it's this big zone, right? This big zone. Then put on the 8-hour time frame, probably would see something interesting. Okay, this looks as an area price would want to start buying from, right? And then from this, we continue push to the upside. On the 4-hour time frame, is there anything spectacular there? Yes, for this. So this looks exactly, this zone looks really good, right? And then we have some form of inducement just above it. This will serve as inducement for price to continue in its original direction. What do I mean by inducement? I mean this, yeah. Right. It serves as an inducement for us to now see price move or continue in its original direction. I hope this makes sense for us. And then finally, S&P 500. S&P 500, we had this markup already for quite some time now, and we're expecting price to come into this zone, right? This zone still looks very much valid. This zone here still look very much valid. Let me extend it, then bring my arrow to still look very much valid, right, for a buy to the upside. So I swear, just be patient for price to come into this zone, and then what will happen next? Expect that rally to continue to the upside. All right, so that's pretty much what we have going on for today on indices asset class. If there's any question, you can ask in the chat box, or in the absence of no question, we'll call it a day. We'll be coming back by 2 this afternoon for the New York session, where we just do like a recap of everything here, and hopefully price has taken us in and stacked us in, and then we can look at the trades together. All right. So thank you for joining Ashafashion. We'll see you again by 2 this afternoon. Cheers and God bless.